We're here to improve the world. So the traditional idea of retirement, working hard your whole life just to reach a point where you can finally stop doing anything, is kind of a scam. Most people are completely wrong about retirement. They picture a magical day when they can finally stop working, kick back, and do absolutely nothing for the rest of their life. But if that's what you're aiming for, you're falling for a scam. I mean, I get it. Sitting on a beach, sipping cocktails, watching the waves roll in, it sounds amazing, right? But let's really think this through for a moment, because that's not much of a long-term plan. Lying on a beach sounds incredible after years of grinding away and working hard. Sounds great. I want to do it right now. But what happens after a few days? Or a week? Or a month? Or a year? Could you really enjoy laying on a beach for a year? You'd start getting bored, maybe even a little restless. You would start to notice imperfections at the resort. That sunburn and dehydration, not as fun as it seemed in the brochure. And would you really be doing nothing? Or would you be scrolling on your phone, just like you always do, but now in a different location? I think it starts to feel pretty empty. Now, I love rest as much as the next person. I'm all for taking breaks, enjoying life, and having downtime. I actually think hustle culture is a disease and rest is a lost discipline. But I also believe that we're not designed to just sit around counting our money. As humans, we're wired to be creative, to build things and contribute in meaningful ways. We're built to be part of something larger than ourselves. We're here to improve the world. So the traditional idea of retirement, working hard your whole life just to reach a point where you can finally stop doing anything, is kind of a scam. And I've watched this play out with people close to me who fall for the scam. I have a friend who was a dedicated worker, put in 40 plus years at the same company, climbing the ladder, and he couldn't wait to retire. He had this vision of fishing every day, watching TV, just relaxing. Well, 2 months in, he was mostly spending his days watching daytime television. He found himself occasionally walking back through the office, but it was clear that the team had moved on and that he wasn't needed anymore. 6 months in, he was depressed. He got in the habit of opening a bottle of wine at noon while he watched trashy TV. He'd fall asleep in his armchair, and when he heard his wife get home, he would dust the crumbs off of his shirt and straighten himself up and try to act like he'd just opened the bottle for them. By the end of the first year, he was looking for part-time work, not because he needed the money, but because he needed purpose. He needed something to throw himself into. Now, I've heard similar stories from so many people. Someone who had their identity wrapped up in their career for decades and then suddenly has no identity at all. No reason for being. No feedback from others that they are providing value. They had a financial plan, sure, but they didn't have a life plan. They didn't have any clue how to fill their days or stay meaningfully engaged with the world. Some of them got depressed. Some of them strained their marriages by suddenly being home 24/7. I've even heard of people who passed away shortly after retirement. Their bodies literally shut down when their purpose was gone. How tragic to grind your whole life to finally enjoy it when you retire, only to discover you actually don't know how to enjoy it. Or worse, to have your time cut short. Instead of aiming for a future where you don't have to do anything, what if you aimed for a present where you get to do the things that really matter to you? What if instead of working towards retirement, you started working towards a life that feels fulfilling every single day? A life that you don't have to or want to retire from? I want you to try something with me right now. Just close your eyes for a second if you're somewhere you can do that safely. And now imagine this. You have all the money you need. Your bills are paid and your future is secure. How would you spend your time? What would your days look like? Would you be starting a new project? Volunteering for a cause that's close to your heart? Teaching others the skills that you've mastered, or traveling the world with a purpose beyond just sightseeing? Figure out what actually matters to you. This is what we call lifestyle design. It's about crafting a life where your work, your passions, and your values all align. It's about figuring out what really matters to you and finding ways to make that the center of your life, not just something that you hope you get to someday. So I want you to stop thinking about retirement as an age or a date on the calendar. Instead, Pursue a financial state that gives you the freedom to do what you want, when you want, with the people you want. Have you figured out what that is? Once you know what kind of life you want, then you can start working backwards. You can figure out exactly what that life would cost. You can decide how your time would be spent if it were up to you. You can determine what kind of assets or income streams would support that lifestyle, and then you can build exactly that, no more, no less. Now, maybe you discover your ideal life costs way less than you thought. Maybe you don't need millions in the bank. Maybe you just need enough passive income to cover a modest lifestyle doing what you love. Or maybe you realize you actually love working, just not at your current job. Maybe your ideal life includes building something meaningful, mentoring others, or solving important problems. Whatever it is, a lifestyle design starts with planning the life you want and then pulling it forward into the present as much as you can. Let me give you a concrete example. I have a friend who realized his passion was woodworking. He bloody loves it. When he realized that this is what he wanted to spend his time doing, he didn't need to fully retire. He just needed enough financial freedom to quit his corporate job and focus on building custom furniture. That's what he really wanted to do. So he figured he needed about $4,000 a month to live comfortably. And so instead of chasing some arbitrary retirement number like $2 million in the bank, he focused on creating passive income streams that would generate that $4,000 monthly. He bought a small rental property, built an online course teaching his woodworking skills, and set up systems to sell his furniture consistently. And then within 3 years, he had enough reliable income to leave his job. So was he retired at 43? Not in the traditional sense. He wasn't doing nothing. He was doing what he loved. He was working hard on his woodworking. That's lifestyle design. He was living his ideal lifestyle right away, rather than waiting for some distant future date. So the goal is create a life where you're doing what you love, contributing in ways that matter, and feeling fulfilled every single day. Now, it doesn't have to wait until you're 65, 70, or whatever arbitrary retirement age we've all been sold. It can start now. So I'm curious, if you closed your eyes and you did that visualization exercise with me, what did you see? What does your ideal lifestyle look like? What would you be doing if money wasn't a concern? Figure that out first, and then we can build the financial framework to support it. Because life is too short to wait until we retire to start living.